Hey all! Amanda here with your recap/correction video for episode 5 of American Ninja Warrior Season 12. When there are so many changes and adjustments made to a show that even the official website is providing incorrect information, you know it's a challenge to try to keep up. I don't want to try and place any blame, and like I've said all along, I have no affiliation to the show, nor do I have any insider information, obviously, but I do try and research the show, past, present, and upcoming, mainly just because I love the show and want to share it with those who love it too. AmericanNinjaWarriorNation.com, the show's official website, released a sneak peek article stating that the ninjas that qualified in the first 2 rounds would be running on night 1 of the semifinals. However, the show is clearly being edited. The leaderboard was manipulated and the power tower was cut episode 1. Episode 3's air date was pushed back a week, but the station did not tell us that in advance. Episode 4 was pushed back an hour for me. Runs are being cut completely, with no mention of the athletes, and now the rest of the season, starting episode 6, will be moving from Monday nights to Wednesday. There are only 8 episodes this season. I think in reality, the people that qualified in the first 2 rounds of qualifying did actually run night 1 of semifinals, but due to the drama that would have been playing out behind the scenes, and of course, for the excitement of the show, runs were played out of sequence. Digested runs were cut shorter than normal, 1 run was once again shown in a flashback scene, and 3 runs, unbelievably, were joined in progress. So again, I'm doing the best I can to keep up, and although trying to keep it all straight is a challenge, this season is turning out to be really fun. Episode 5 was one of the most enjoyable episodes I've watched in a while, so if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to check it out before watching this video, because here are the results of night 1 of the semifinals. Again, with the semifinals, we extend the course from 6 obstacles to 10, and 4 of the ones featured tonight were brand new. We start with the shrinking steps, where athletes run up 5 steps that decrease in size, angled on an incline, that lead to a rope, where they then must jump out to grab it and swing to the landing platform. No one went out here. Then, it's off the hook, which consists of 2 swinging boards, each with a peg attached to it. Ninjas must hang onto a ring hooked to the first peg on the first board, then build momentum to jump to the second board, hooking the ring to the second peg before swinging to the landing platform. 2 people cannot make the connection here. Then, the first of 4 new obstacles, we have clockwork. Ninjas must jump to grab a handle attached to a sprocket. This sprocket is interconnected to 2 others, and moving the handles, move the other sprockets and their handles. Timing is key on this one, but only managed to take out 2 athletes. Burn rubber was the new balance obstacle that consisted of 3 tires, all offset to the right of each other, spaced 6 feet apart, that spun as athletes stepped on them. As always, the balance obstacles can trip up the best, and tonight, burn rubber took out 4 competitors. Back from qualifiers, athletes faced sideways, where ninjas had to jump up and reach the first of 3 boards, each of which tilt to either side. Athletes must keep their weight evenly distributed as they work their way across. Then, they reach a perpendicular bar, where they must jump and turn 45 degrees mid-air, and grab a bar that they must then slide across to reach 3 more tilting boards, this time angled on a decline, and swing out to the landing platform. No one went out on sideways. Every athlete that attempted to scale the 14.5-foot concave warped wall advanced to reach the salmon ladder. The salmon ladder looks like a ladder without the steps and has a bar resting on 2 rungs at either side. Competitors must use their momentum and upper body strength to climb the ladder by jumping the bar up the rungs till they reach the top. Everyone who made it to the salmon ladder succeeded. Athletes then met the 3rd new obstacle, the corkscrew, and I predict unless modifications are made to this obstacle, this may be the last season we see it. One of Daniel Gill's invited ninjas, Janitor Josh, a janitor at Daniel's gym, is the creator of this obstacle. I was right with my guess on how this one would work, but I was still shocked every time I saw it in action. Ninjas faced a series of 3 poles, each with a red wheel attached, that spun them senseless as it slammed to a stop at the bottom. Ninjas had to pull their lower bodies up to their chest to avoid the gravity pulling their bodies off the wheel. Then they must make a 4-foot lache to grab the next wheel, and repeat until they reach the landing platform. There were a few times I thought ninjas were going to break their arms holding on, and 9 athletes were spun right into the water. The 4th new obstacle on this course was revealed as the dungeon. Ninjas had to climb up a vertical plexiglass wall, using pegs to pull themselves up. Once they reach the top, the wall drops horizontally, and ninjas must make their way across the bottom of the wall, using the same pegs they used to climb up with. Then they jump to another plexiglass wall, and grab 2 long handles, and used their momentum to turn the wall 180 degrees to jump to the landing platform behind them. 7 people gassed out here. And the course ended with the return of the spider trap. Athletes ascend a long chute by pressing their hands and feet against the sides of the wall. The spider trap also had 3 sets of trapdoors at the 10, 22.5, and 35-foot marks, each weighing 100 pounds. Both 50-pound doors must be opened completely before the ninja can advance through. One athlete could not push through the pane and fell 5 feet from the top. However, of the 29 athletes that competed tonight, 5 ninjas were able to hit buzzers tonight and sit on top of the leaderboards of those advancing. The top 12 ninjas that make it the furthest the fastest advance, and if 2 women are not on that list, the 2 women that make it the furthest the fastest advance. And now, here are your results, as they were presented, for night 1 of the semifinals. The night started off with a surprise, and as soon as Mathis Kidawati walked out, I knew my entire previous video was wrong. If I had have known the kid was running, he definitely would have been one of my picks to advance, but having seen his qualifying run digested, and now to see his run chosen to open the first night of the semifinals, I was not surprised to see him miss out on the finals this year. With Daniel and Grant cheering him on from the sideline, the kid averaged an obstacle every 10 seconds for the first 6 obstacles of the course. He was able to hang on to the first corkscrew drop, but got twisted up on the second one and hit the water. Next was Nate Hansen. I thought he would run tonight, and I wanted him to do well, but Nate could not get the timing right on burn rubber and hit the water. I hope he comes back next year. Then it was Sandy Zinnerman. I thought she would run, but I did not pick her as a finalist. I've really underestimated her in the past, and tonight's run proved it. I loved seeing newcomer Ashley McConville standing on the sidelines with Janique Levitt and Alyssa Beard, cheering on Sandy as she bunny hopped across burn rubber and gave us a flex from the warped wall. I laughed as she screamed all the way down the first corkscrew, but was saddened when she missed the second wheel and hit the water. Luckily, she made it far enough fast enough to advance. Janique Levitt's run was digested after she wiped out between the second and third tire on burn rubber and almost got folded in half backwards as a result. Jake's 2 teammates also had their runs digested. Glenn Albright face-planted on the landing platform after stumbling across burn rubber. I thought he would run tonight, but he was not one of my picks to advance. I also expected Barry Gowers to run tonight, but again, he was not one of my picks to advance. Barry just missed out on grabbing the second wheel on corkscrew. Although I thought Donovan Matoyer would run, for some reason, I did not pick him to advance, though looking back now, I can't remember why. Donovan had a solid run in qualifiers and brought some fun to the semifinals. Donovan literally spun up the warped wall and may have been the first one to solve the corkscrew. Remember, the show and runs are being heavily edited, though I still could be wrong. He looked to be exhausted even before he started the dungeon, and almost made it to the top of the vertical board, but could not hold on any longer and dropped to the water. Luckily, he made it far enough fast enough to advance. Wouldn't it be awesome to see him in the final showdown? Classy. Caitlin Bergstrom's run was digested, and though I thought she would run, she was not one of my picks to advance. It was revealed that Caitlin was one half of another ninja couple, and is dating Cake Ninja David Wright, who is on screen with her brother Caleb, and who will be running next week on episode 6. Caitlin couldn't complete her first attempt at transferring on off the hook, and missed hooking the peg on her second attempt. I thought Ryan Lashoff would run tonight, though he was not one of my picks. Invited by Tyler Gillette, Ryan bounced from tire to tire effortlessly on burn rubber, but got twisted up on the last corkscrew and hit the water. Ryan's run was digested. Not only did I think Tyler Gillette was running tonight, but he was also one of my picks to advance to the finals, and he did not disappoint. Tyler danced across burn rubber, but he made me nervous when his arms got twisted up on corkscrew, where he just made the landing. He cut his hand when he missed the handle on the second board of the dungeon, and I think everyone's heart stopped for a moment when he almost slid back down the chute after reaching the top of the spider trap. But I cheered when he hit the buzzer with a time of 6:20.09, advancing him to the finals. Unfortunately, Ashley McConville's run was digested. I thought she would be running tonight, and I wanted her to do well, but her feet got away from her on burn rubber, and she sidestepped off the last tire. I hope she comes back next year. Mike Wright had a wardrobe malfunction when his tearaway pants failed to tear away, but Grant's did, as he cheered Mike on from the sidelines. Mike was able to hold on to the first 2 wheels on corkscrew, but just missed out on the third. I thought Mike would run tonight, but he was not one of my picks to advance. His run was digested. Next up was the debut run of hostess Uri Hall. No, not actually. but that was the creative way Grant McCartney started his run. Grant got hung up on his first attempt to transfer to the second peg on off the hook and stumbled his way across burn rubber. As usual, Grant wasted a ton of time dancing on top of the warped wall, and while I understand that athletes want to have fun in the course, dancing is not the best way to catch your breath mid-run. Matt Nockbar even discussed it, and I have to agree with Matt. When time is this big of a factor, you really need to make every second count. This is probably at least the third time Grant missed out on advancing as a direct result of wasting time. It's unfortunate. I did predict him to advance, as he is a talented ninja, but I am not surprised that he missed out due to time. Although I thought Abel Gonzalez would run tonight, he was not one of my picks. Abel is a great competitor and a veteran of the show, and although I did want him to do well, there were lots of other strong ninjas he was up against that I thought may have had an edge over him. Abel's hand slipped off the second corkscrew wheel, and his run was digested. Kevin Bull's run was also digested, where he kept spinning after the first corkscrew stopped and spun right off and into the water. I did not know Kevin was running tonight, but if I had have known, he would have been one of my picks to advance. And although I thought Cameron Baumgartner would be running tonight, having had his runs digested last season, as well as in qualifying, I did not predict him to advance. The Baum gave a near-perfect run as friends Krista Ganji and Jamie Ron cheered him on from the sidelines. Cam hit the buzzer at a time of 5:30.18, the third fastest of the night, and is definitely one to watch for in the finals. Rue Yori ran as I had assumed he would, though he was not one of my picks to advance. I had hoped he would do well, but he missed hooking the ring on the peg while transferring on off the hook, and his run was digested. Jackson Twait's run was also digested, and I really wanted to see his run too, as it would have been a good one. Jackson just gassed out at the 30-foot mark of the 35-foot spider trap, and his run was digested. Again, I thought he would run tonight, but he was not one of my picks to advance. Inexplicably, Jamie Ron's run was joined in progress. I didn't expect him to run tonight, but had I have known, he would have been one of my picks to advance. Jamie slammed his way up the salmon ladder and controlled the first two spins down corkscrew, but his arms got crossed on the third. He was able to make it to the landing and got himself to the end of the horizontal board on the dungeon, but he threw himself way too hard into the second plexiglass and slid all the way down into the water. Luckily, he went far enough fast enough to advance. Gabriel Hotchkiss ran as indicated, but he was not one of my picks to advance, and his run was digested. Gabriel spun right off the first corkscrew and hit the water. And, in another stunning editing choice, for reasons unknown, the second runner-up to last season's $1 million prize, Daniel Gill's run was joined in progress. I assumed he would run tonight, and I called this one with Daniel hitting a buzzer and taking the second fastest time of the night. I thought that maybe Drew was standing on the sidelines, cheering on some of these ninjas who were having their runs joined in progress, but I did not see him when I watched the show back and have no way to confirm or dismiss this thought. But hey, that's just a theory. A ninja theory. Sorry, Matt Pat. Daniel yawned after clearing the corkscrew, and his ascent up the spider trap looked almost unreal. Daniel hit a buzzer with a time of 4:38.58. Look for him in the final showdown. Fourth grade teacher Alyssa Beard ran tonight, as I had thought, and was one of my picks to advance amongst the women. However, after tiptoeing up shrinking steps, she released too early on clockwork and missed the last handle, hitting the water. Jonathan Horton ran as predicted, but was not one of my picks to advance. His run was digested when he surprisingly slid off the first handle of clockwork while trying to build momentum to make the transfer. And once again, editors decided to show us Jake Murray crawling around in spider-infested caves and just joined the fastest runner of the season mid-run. I had predicted Jake to advance with one of the fastest times of the night, but never predicted the cut. Daniel and Grant were cheering Jake on from the sidelines, and I got nervous thinking Jake was going to miss the landing after clockwork, but he got a second wind halfway through the dungeon and hit a buzzer with a time of 4:37.44, taking the fastest time of the night for the second time this season. Watch for his run in the finals, and hopefully at the final showdown. I was furious when they digested my Flipper's run, but you would think that after years of editors cutting this veteran fan favorite, I would be used to it by now. Flip Rodriguez ran as expected, and although I wanted him to hit a buzzer, I would have settled to have at least seen his run in full. He was gassed out by the time he got to the dungeon, and although he made it to the top of the vertical wall and made a drop horizontally, he was unable to hold on. Luckily, he made it far enough fast enough to advance. Adam Rail's run was also digested. If I had have known Adam was running tonight, he would have been one of my picks to advance to the finals. Adam somersaulted across the warped wall, and with his mom ready to faint on screen, cheering him on, Adam hit a buzzer with a time of 6:27.41. Chris DeGangi ran as expected, but his run was almost entirely cut when, for the second time this season, a run was shown in almost a flashback scenario. I wanted him to do well, and he did, when he fell after the dungeon wall dropped. Luckily, he made it far enough fast enough to advance. Jesse Lebrecq ran as expected, and was one of my picks to advance. Jesse double-stepped the second tire on burn rubber, and held on through corkscrew, knocking Kitawati off the leaderboard, ending his season. Jesse climbed up the vertical wall of the dungeon, making it drop horizontally, but gassed out halfway back across. I was hoping she would hit a buzzer, but she did make it far enough fast enough to advance. The show ended with Jody Avila's run, as expected, where we learned that his wife Pauline had to end her season as she was called back to work. Pauline was supposed to run in the semifinals after husband Jody saved her in the power tower. Jody was one of my picks to advance, and I was pretty confident that he would hit a buzzer to do so. Jody stumbled through burn rubber, but his height may have been an asset with corkscrew. By the time he reached the wheel, his extended body was almost the entire length of the drop. Jody slid off the handles when he jumped to the second plexiglass at the end of the dungeon, but made it far enough fast enough to advance. So there you have it. All the results of Episode 5 of American Ninja Warrior Season 12. I got a few of my predictions right, considering all of the mix-ups in runs. Now that we've seen the first half of the competitors' run, by default, we now know who will be running Episode 6. I will have a sneak peek of the course, athletes, and of course, my own personal predictions on who I think, or want, to advance. Please feel free to play along by leaving a comment below and let us know who you want to see in the finals. Share your thoughts on the obstacles and the outcomes of the first half of the semifinals, and tell us who you're looking forward to seeing next week. American Ninja Warrior is moving to Wednesday nights, and we'll be back with the second half of the semifinals, October 21st, only on NBC. And again, with all the confusion this season is bringing, please be sure to check your local listings for details. I will be doing my best to help you make sense of the remainder of this season, so please bear with me. And until the next video, enjoy the show!